An absolutely awesome RPG has been revealed for the PlayStation 4, a PC release earlier this year that was received incredibly well. Disco Elysium, an open-world RPG, is dropping on the PlayStation 4 in 2020. We'll talk all about that game and what to expect out of that because it's something that's gonna go a little bit under the radar, but you should absolutely be excited for it. Battlefield 5 is getting a free trial this weekend to celebrate the release of Chapter 5 War in the Pacific, and Titanfall 3 is a game that I know a lot of you guys want from EA. It isn't being forgotten about, and we'll take a look at what they said about that and the possibility of a Titanfall 3 in the future. More on that at the end of this video. And before we get into everything, I just want to remind you guys to make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification icon so you are always notified of uploads, and that definitely helps out the channel too, so we always appreciate that. First up, want to talk all about Disco Elysium being confirmed for the PlayStation 4, and it's coming in 2020. This was a game that just a few weeks ago took the PC gaming world by storm. Nobody really saw it coming, and it turned out to be a phenomenal RPG. The game has a 90 on Metacritic. It was hovering around a 91 or a 92 for a little bit, but you get the idea. It's a very good game, very positive reception on Steam, 94% positive reviews based on 1,743 user reviews, just 1% shy of having overwhelmingly positive reviews. And there's so much to dissect about the game, and we'll get to that in a little second, but ZAUM, the developer, lead designer Robert Kurvitz, spoke a little bit about the game, saying, quote, "The immediate plan, and this is why I won't go on a holiday anytime soon, is to get Disco Elysium to as many people as possible. We're going to port it next year to PlayStation and Xbox. We need to be very hands-on with the design of that. We don't want to hire a porting company. We think it really is going to lend itself very well to console play because you don't need to go over minute tactics and use a mouse because it's very narrative in its nature." In addition to the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One versions, Kurvitz is also working on translations into Chinese and several European languages. Okay, so that is the confirmation that the game is coming in 2020. A lot of you guys are probably a little bit unfamiliar with Disco Elysium, so let's talk a little bit about the game. Again, released back on October 15th on PC, $39.99 was the price point, which I don't know, maybe this game isn't visually groundbreaking, so you're thinking $39.99 is kind of expensive. Absolutely is not. So it's a groundbreaking open world RPG. You're a detective with a unique skill system at your disposal and a whole city block to carve your path across. Interrogate unforgettable characters, crack murderers, or take bribes, become a hero or an absolute disaster of a human being. And I know that when we talk about games, we always talk about choice being an imperative. It was an imperative in a game like The Outer Worlds. In Disco Elysium, it is really doubly so. That has been one of the talking points about the game. It's that choice is so diverse and impactful in Disco Elysium to the point where if you play the game for an hour or two and then you restart the game and then you make different choices, Disco Elysium is gonna be a starkly different game based on the choices you make even from the get-go, and it's very compelling in that sense. As far as feature goes, the game touts unprecedented freedom of choice: intimidate, sweet talk, resort to violence, write poetry, sing karaoke, dance like a beast, or solve the meaning of life. Disco Elysium is the most faithful representation of desktop RPG ever attempted in a video game, and again, it's noted to be desktop RPG, so it's going to be very interesting to see how it makes the transition to PlayStation 4. I'm very confident that it can, no problem. We've seen Pillars of Eternity, Divinity Original Sin 2, all of these games have worked really well on the PS4. I'm sure Disco Elysium, they can manage it as well. Countless tools for role-playing, mix and match from 24 wildly different skills, develop a personal style with 80 clothes items, wield 14 tools from guns to flashlights to a boombox, or pour yourself a cocktail of 6 different psychoactive substances, develop your character even further with 60 wild thoughts to think with the detective's thought cabinet. A revolutionary dialogue system with unforgettable characters. The world is alive with real people, not extras. Play them against each other, try to help them, or fall hopelessly in love. Disco Elysium's revolutionary dialogue system with partially voice-acted characters lets you do almost anything. Explore, manipulate, collect terror, or become a millionaire in an open world unlike anything you've seen before. The city of Revachol is yours for the taking, one small piece at a time, from the streets to the beaches and beyond. Hard-boiled and hardcore, debt, sex, taxes, and disco, nothing is off the table. Revachol is a real place with real challenges. Solve a massive murder investigation, or relax and kick back with sprawling side cases. The detective decides, the citizens abide. Okay, so a lot to digest with that game, but again, this is a game that I'm really excited to come to PlayStation 4 because I saw its PC release and I was like, man, this is a game that I think would resonate really hard if it did release on other platforms. Yes, it's a little bit more PC-centric, but I think if it comes to the PS4, if it works well on it, everybody's gonna check it out. And again, released at $39.99, might look at that as a hefty price point. I don't know, that's still less than your typical $59.99, and given the reception, probably worth a full $60, but really excited for this one to come in 2020 on the PlayStation 4. We don't have an official release window, but hopefully it's earlier in 2020, but even if it's sometime in the middle or later in 2020, just exciting to see Disco Elysium ultimately come to the PS4, and who knows, maybe we'll get a PS5 version, maybe the game will just naturally work on the PS5 given backwards compatibility. Whenever we talk about 2020 game releases, I'm just led to speculate on that, but Disco Elysium, an awesome game on PC, gonna be making the transition to the PlayStation 4 sometime in 2020, and honestly, this looks to be one of the runners for Game of the Year. I wouldn't say front runners, but definitely on the ballot and contendership for one of the Game of the Years. It's been received that well. Alright, so that's everything on Disco Elysium. Let's talk a little bit about Battlefield 5 as it's getting a free trial this weekend to celebrate the release of Chapter 5 War in the Pacific. Today, October 31st, Battlefield 5 receives its Chapter 5 update, sending players to the Pacific to battle it out as Americans or the Japanese. To celebrate the DLC's release, publisher EA is letting players download Battlefield 5 for free this weekend, starting on November 1st. It'll feature all the game's content, including the single-player mode, war stories, the full multiplayer mode, and the new content added with Chapter 5, and your progress will carry over should you decide to buy the game or sign up for EA Access. Remember, EA Access is $30 a year, and it'll give you access to Battlefield 5 along with a litany of other titles as well. As far as Chapter 5, the Chapter 5 War in the Pacific add-on features 2 new maps, Iwo Jima and Pacific Storm, a remake of Battlefield 4's Parasol Storm map, and sometime in December, Battlefield 5 will be getting a remake of Wake Island, the famous map from Battlefield 1942. The DLC will also see the addition of new weapons and new vehicles like the M4 Sherman tank and the Vought F4U Corsair plane. Plus, you'll be able to use classic World War II firearms like the M1 Garand, Type 99 Oriska, Type 100 Japanese SMG, and M19 19A6. And other pickups like katanas, M2 flamethrowers, and other items will be making their debut in this DLC on top of that. Battlefield 5, as horrible as the marketing was, and as butchered that EA did that element of this game, it's actually a high-quality game, and I want to see it make a little bit of a comeback. It is really good, and try out the free trial, see if you like it for yourself, jump in with a couple of friends, and I'm pretty sure you're going to enjoy your time with it, given all of the new content that's being added as well. Alright, I mentioned a little bit of butchered marketing with Battlefield 5, but one game that had more butchered marketing and promotion than anything I've ever seen is Titanfall 2. Why a game like Titanfall 2 would be released by EA around the same time as Battlefield 1, their own first-person shooter, and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare and a bunch of other first-person shooters. You just threw that game to the wolves and let it die a horrible death. Titanfall 2 was a phenomenal game, and those that played it really enjoyed it, and I still harken back to it whenever it's on sale. I tell you guys, you gotta check it out. Great game, and I ultimately do want to see a Titanfall 3, but right now Respawn is of course busy with doing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and they've found a lot of success in Apex Legends, so I'm happy for them in that regard. And in light of the successes of Apex Legends this year, which has now surpassed a whopping 70 million players, some have started to question whether or not EA and Respawn would continue to make another proper Titanfall game, or if Apex would simply be the main title in this universe moving forward. According to EA, while there is nothing to talk about with a third Titanfall game right now, it's not something the publisher has completely ruled out. During a recent financial call from EA going over the past quarter's figures, the publisher was asked about Titanfall 3 from an investor. This investor wondered if plans for a third entry ended up being integrated into Apex Legends, or if it would still be coming in the future as another game entirely. Blake Jorgensen, EA CFO, spoke on it saying, quote, "It could certainly be a separate title in the future. We really want to keep the team hyper focused on Apex because we see there's so much opportunity there, but so I can't give you a sense of it and when it will come, but it's still a great brand and we certainly won't forget about it down the road." So that's exciting to hear. I hope to see more Titanfall content in the future. I can understand from an EA standpoint, you found a little bit of a home run in Apex Legends, even though the popularity of that game has dissipated a little bit. There are still an active number of players, and with the Steam release coming as well, I imagine that that is going to bolster the game quite a bit, and it's still something that has a lot of legs to it. Ultimately, I would like to see Titanfall 3 given a chance. I would like to see it be released at a time where it doesn't have to compete against 8 million other games. Given the quality of Titanfall 2, I think Titanfall 3 could do really really well. Let's just not release it around the same time as the next Battlefield or the next COD. Let's give it a little bit of time to breathe and let's let that game shine, and I think it could do really well. Again, I always go back to Titanfall 2 and I tell you guys, it was a great game from a multiplayer standpoint. It was much better than Titanfall 1. It had so much more depth, and then it added a single player campaign as well, and the single player campaign was relatively decent. I actually enjoyed my time with that, so it's always just going to be a little bit unfortunate about the fate of that game. I was really disappointed about that, but that was so many years ago, and I really shouldn't be crapping all over EA about that still, but nonetheless, still a little bit bitter about that. And that's going to conclude this video. Again, Disco Elysium, an awesome open world RPG that launched to critical acclaim, is now coming to the PlayStation 4 in 2020. Very excited for that. Battlefield 5 is getting a free trial this weekend to celebrate the release of Chapter 5 War in the Pacific, and Titanfall 3 hasn't been completely ruled out, but at this point it looks like Respawn is going to remain committed to Apex Legends. Hopefully sometime in the future we do see Titanfall 3. That's going to conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.